The most important lift to teach an athlete how to perform in the sport of weightlifting is the snatch. If an athlete can learn how to properly perform a snatch, it will set a solid foundation for technique and for explosiveness and for power development for them to be able to use in any other Olympic movement they're going to use. First thing we need to teach a weightlifter is how to get in what's called the power position. The snatch, as well as the clean, is taught as a three-position lift. The first position is the power position. Athletes' shoulders are pulled back with a tight back. The knees are slightly unlocked. The knuckles are turned in towards the ground, with the elbows turned out towards the sides of the barbell. From this position, the lifter is going to extend his hips, and the first movement we're going to have him do is called a snatch grip power position jump shrug. He's going to jump and extend as forcefully as he can, shrugging straight up in the air. The bar needs to stay close to the body. It's important for the lifter to not pull with his arms at all. This teaches the lifter how to use their hips in full extension. Being able to extend the hips is how we perform the snatch, the clean, and the jerk. After the lifter has completed the jump shrugs from the power position, we are going to then have them go on to muscle snatches from the power position. With each of these positions we show here, I'd recommend doing 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps to really reinforce the proper movement patterns for the athlete. But with the muscle snatch, we're going to have the athlete get set in the same position of the power position, and we're going to have them extend their hips vertically. They're going to shrug up at the top with their elbows turned out. They're going to keep their elbows coming up over the bar, and they're going to receive the bar at full arm's length. Notice that the bar stays close to the body and it never loops away from the athlete. And also notice that the weightlifter has his feet in contact with the floor the whole time, finishing on the balls of his feet but never jumping off the ground. The next lift we are going to teach the weightlifter from the power position is to do the power snatch. Starting from the same position again, of course, having the back set with the knees unlocked, the knuckles turned in, and the elbows turned out. We are now going to have the lifter bring the jump shrugs and the muscle snatches together. He's going to jump as forcefully as he can in the air, making sure to push his heels back down to the ground as quick as he can so as he does not want to spend time floating. And then also going to have the same bar path as the muscle snatch, but now instead of continuing to pull the bar overhead, he's going to catch it on slightly unlocked knees by pulling the body to the bar. The feet should make contact with the platform at the same time that the lifter receives the bar overhead. The second position we're going to teach the lifter to snatch from is the above the knee position. He's going to unlock his knees to the power position, and then from there with a set tight back, he's going to bend his knees slightly more, and he is going to keep his weight distribution on his heels and sink his hips slightly. From this position, he will turn his elbows out, and he will sweep the bar in along the thighs as he pulls his chest up and returns back to the power position. This is very important because if he can return to the power position, he will increase his chance of having a success with the lift. Once the lifter has learned how to transition from the power position to the above the knee position, we'll then have them add an additional movement to it, and they will begin to do a transition from above the knee to power position. They will then pause, and then they will perform a jump shrug, just like they had done a few moments earlier from the power position. The important thing is for the lifter to continue to keep their stomach and back tight while sweeping the bar in along the thighs so that the bar stays close to the body. They will take a brief pause while remaining tight with the arms loose and jump and shrug vertically. This will give them, again, the optimal position. Once the lifter has learned how to transition from the above the knee position, pause, and do a jump shrug, you will then have them do it as one continuous motion. Again, make sure that the back and stomach are tight so the bar stays in close along the thighs. From there, the lifter will raise the chest and keep the bar in so they can make hip contact. It's important for them to continue the momentum on the barbell and never slow down or pause before extending the hips. Again, it's also important to make sure that they are vertical at the top so they are shrugging up their shoulders towards their ears, and so the elbows stay over the bar with the knuckles turned in. Once the lifter has successfully completed jump shrugs from the above the knee position, we will again teach them to do muscle snatches from the above the knee position. Again, the bar will move in the same path from the above the knee to jump position or power position transition. Again, while continuing to keep the bar close, they will continue the momentum on the bar without pausing. At that time, when they extend to the balls of their feet, they will continue to keep their elbows up over the bar and pull to the overhead position where they will receive it without jumping or leaving the ground. Next, we're going to have the lifter perform power snatches from the above the knee position. The transition continues to remain the same. In fact, the entire bar trajectory continues to remain the same. The primary difference here is when the lifter extends his or her hips and pushes them through the bar, they will actually continue their momentum until their feet do leave the ground. They do not want to kick their feet up into the air or bunny hop, but they want to push them back down to the ground as fast as possible, and also use their arms to receive the bar on a slightly bent knee position overhead. The third position that we teach the snatch from is the below the knee position. First, to transition down to the below the knee position, we're going to start from the above the knee position, and while keeping a set flat back, the lifter will squat their hips down until the bar rests right below and in front of the kneecaps. From there, they will pull their chest up, sweep the bar in close to the body, and drive the knees back slightly to return to the above the knee position that they were lifting from previously. Once a lifter has properly learned how to transition from the below the knee position to the above the knee position, we will then just continue along this progression where they will now lower down to the below the knee position and now perform two transitions into the jump shrug from the power position. Again, the transition from below the knee to above the knee, they keep the chest up, the bar close, the knees come in as the bar comes in and up. Then they will pause. From there, they will push their hips forward and pull their chest up as the bar stays in along the thighs. They will then again pause, and from that position, they will then do a jump shrug where they jump and shrug vertically in the air as they have done from the previous two positions with transitions, and this will set them up properly for a snatch. Next, the lifter will perform a jump shrug from the below the knee position. It is actually the same positions and movement they just performed previously, except now there will not be a pause at each position. It is important for the lifter to learn the rhythm and timing of this exercise. They need to wait to extend their hips until they are at the very top of the pull. They slowly transition through without ever stopping until they return to the power position. At that time, they will continue the momentum and jump and shrug vertically. Now we're going to have the lifter perform muscle snatches from the below the knee position. Again, continuing to learn the rhythm and timing that they learned on the jump shrug just a moment ago. We are going to continue to have them keep their back set where they pull their chest up. Make sure that the knees come in first before pushing the hips back through the bar. The bar should stay in contact with the legs the entire way. And as they come all the way to that vertical extension, they push their hips through the bar and shrug vertically. Then, using the arms while keeping the elbows turned up over the bar, they will pull the bar overhead and receive it in the overhead position on the balls of their feet. Now that the lifter has completed all of the different movements to learn how to perform the power snatch, we are now going to look at assistance exercises to learn how to do a snatch, or sometimes referred to as a full snatch. The first exercise is an overhead squat. The lifter will place the bar on his back, like a back squat, with a snatch grip on the barbell, and press the bar to the overhead position. It's important for the lifter to reach all the way up on the barbell through their lats, take a breath, and keep the stomach and back tight. From there, he wants to transition his weight back onto his heels while continuing to remain upright and his head slightly in advance of the barbell, continuing to push up every time. The next snatch assistance lift we will perform is the heaving snatch balance. Starting in the same position with the bar on the back like a back squat, the lifter will set their feet to a squat width position just outside their hips, and while squatting down into the bottom of the squat position, they'll push up against the barbell. The key is that the bar winds up receiving at arm's length at the same time they wind up in the bottom of the overhead squat, while never having the bar raise higher than the original starting position. In the drop snatch, the lifter will start with the feet slightly closer together from a pulling position, and when they punch down under the bar, they will slide the feet out to the receiving position for the squat just outside the hips. This is different than the snatch balance, where they push up against the bar and squat. Now they literally push the body down in a punching motion so their feet make contact with the floor at the same time the arm receives the bar overhead. The waist snatch also teaches the lifter how to receive the bar in the bottom overhead squat position. They'll start up on the balls of the feet with the shoulders shrugged with the knuckles turned in, and then very quickly use their arms to literally pull themselves underneath the bar. Just like in the drop snatch, they want their feet to receive on the ground at the exact same time they receive the barbell overhead and pushing up on it so it cannot move. Now that the lifter has learned the assistance exercise of the snatch balance and the drop snatch and the waist snatch, we will now combine those with the original power movements. Starting at the power position, the lifter will extend the hips vertically and shrug, but now using the arms to pull under the bar, they are going to extend as high as they can, but make sure to meet the bar with arms locked and feet hitting the platform at the same time in the full overhead squat position. The next movement then will be to perform a snatch from the above the knee position. Again, make sure the knees are slightly unlocked so the lifter can get the hips through to the bar and extend vertically. They will extend as tall as they can, but again, just like the previous position, they will use their arms to pull through to the bar and again receive it in the bottom overhead squat position. It is important for them to wait to fully extend the hips and make sure they return to the power position before jumping. And when they receive the bar again in the bottom position, they want to meet it with the hands and feet locking together. Next, we'll have the lifter perform snatches from the below the knee position. Again, they lower the bar all the way down to the below the knee position, making sure to keep the weight on the heels. They're going to keep the bar close and push the hips through as they stand all the way tall. Again, the key here is to make sure and have a good timing and rhythm to get full extension at the top of the pull, but again, using the arms to quickly pull under the bar once extending the hips to receive it with the hands and feet vertically, punch into the platform and the bar at the same time. Learning to correctly lift the bar from the platform is very important. The lifter is going to lower down in position and use the weight of the barbell to pull themselves down into the start position. The butt should be slightly higher than the knees and the shoulders should be higher than the hips. From here, the lifter will pull their chest up and sweep the bar in while driving their knees backwards and pushing their heels through the floor. It is important for a lifter to learn how to lift the bar from the floor instead of yanking it off the floor so they can maintain a set, flat back and transfer power to the top of the pull. Once the lifter has learned how to correctly lift the bar from the floor, we will now begin to do power snatches from the floor. It is important again for them to maintain that set, tight back, with that correct starting position with the hips higher than the knees and the shoulders higher than the hips. The bar has to stay in close along the body. The lifter wants to pull up their chest, sweep the bars in, drive the knees back, and push the heels to the floor. Once the bar clears the knees, they push the hips through and extend at the top of the pole. Finally, we're going to bring together everything the lifter has learned to complete a snatch. It is important to have the same lift snatches from the floor, but now we want to make sure that the lifter continues to extend vertically at the top and get full extension of the barbell. But again, just as all the other assistance exercises, you want to make sure that the lifter uses their arms to pull under the bar as quickly as possible so that they extend vertically and receive the bar on straight arms while reaching up through the bar and making sure the feet punch the platform. This is the final lift they will learn for the snatch. Once the lifter has learned the snatch correctly, we will use the same teaching progression to teach the clean. The first movement they will learn, again, is the jump shrug from the power position. To get to the power position, they will set their back by pulling their shoulders back, turning their elbows out slightly, turning their knuckles down, pointing to the ground. They will then unlock their knees and lean slightly over the bar so they are straight up and down. From here, they will jump and shrug straight up in the air, learning how to extend the hips fully so they can transfer it for the power clean in the next movement. Next, we will teach the lifter to perform a power clean from the jump position or the power position. Again, unlocking the knees with a set flat back with the knuckles turned down and the elbows out, the lifter will lean slightly forward over the bar to get to the power position. From here, they will extend their hips and shrug straight up. It is important to allow the momentum of the bar to push the elbows up over the bar and then use the arms to pull through and receive the bar on the shoulders with the elbows pointing forward like a front squat position. Next, we want to teach the lifter how to transition from the above the knee position to the power position. They're going to keep the back set flat and tight and lean forward so the bar rests slightly above the knees. With the knees pushed back but slightly unlocked, they will pull the chest up and push the hips through to return to the power position and make sure they're upright over the bar at the completion of the transition. Next, we want to combine the jump shrug from the power position and the transition from the above the knee position to the power position. The lifter will again push their hips through and pull their chest up while keeping the bar along the thighs. We'll have them completely pause so they can feel and learn where it is to return to the power position. From that point, they will then jump and shrug vertically in the air again. So again, it's important to keep the back flat, the bar along the thighs, completely pause and extend vertically. Once the lifter has learned how to transition and complete a jump shrug, we will now have them do the exact same thing, just without pausing. They will slowly push the hips through and pull the chest up. At the top of the transition, they will just continue the momentum and jump and shrug vertically, keeping the bar close with the knuckles turned down and the elbows turned out. Next, the lifter will perform power cleans from the above the knee position. Again, having them maintain the set flat back, they will lower to the above the knee position with the knees back and the hamstrings and hips loaded. From here again, they will pull the chest up, push the hips through. Now it's important for them to continue the momentum on the barbell and get that vertical extension again. Let the momentum travel upwards and use the arms to pull through and receive the bar on the shoulders with the elbows forward. The third position we will teach the lifter to clean from is the below the knee position. From the above the knee position, they will maintain a set flat back and lower the hips down so the bar stays in close, and they will bend the knees more so the bar again is just over the middle of the foot and the weight is on the heels. From there, the lifter will pull the chest up and transition by in the above the knee position. We are teaching them to return there first. Once the lifter has learned how to transition from the below the knee position to the above the knee position, we are now going to add on to it again with the transition from the above the knee position to the power position. Again, it is important here for the lifter to pause at each position so they can learn and feel where their body and where the bar is supposed to be each time. On their way up, they want to make sure that the bar comes in and pull the chest up to the chest up, pausing again, and then they will jump shrug vertically straight up in the air, keeping the bar along the body with the knuckles down the whole time. Next, we will have the lifter perform jump shrugs from below the knees. They are going to continue through all of the same positions. It's important for the bar to stay close to the body as they continue to stand upright. But now they will go through the positions without pausing, so they have more momentum at the top. Again, we want the lifter to be extending vertically and shrugging their shoulders upright. Finally, we are going to have the lifter perform power cleans from the below the knee position. Again, the bar will stay close as they pull their chest up and push their hips through, just like they did on the jump shrug, but now the momentum of the barbell will continue upwards. They will use their arms to pull through and receive the bar on the shoulders. It's important for the bar to stay close as it extends and not loop away or kick away from the body when they receive the bar on the shoulders. The lifter to have the bar up on the shoulders with the bar resting in the fingertips, shrugging the shoulders upwards and forward while keeping the elbows pointing upright as well. The feet should be slightly wider than shoulder width apart, and the lifter keeps this tight stomach and back and sits the weight back onto the One of the next transitions we want a lifter to learn is how to pull themselves from the pulling stance to the squatting stance. Notice the feet start under the hips and then slightly shift. They put the hands out straight in front of themselves for balance, and they're going to punch their body down to the ground as fast as possible. Once the lifter has correctly performed the footwork drills, we will now teach them how to do a waist clean. They use their arms to pull under and receive the bar up on the shoulders. Again, the lifter stands vertically and in the pulling position and quickly shrugs the shoulders and pulls their body down. The feet travel slightly wider and they move as fast as they can under the barbell, receiving it with the elbows forward and the shoulders. Once the lifter has correctly learned how to perform the assistance exercises of the waist clean, we will now combine that with the original positions they learned the power clean from earlier. Going to the power position, they will unlock the back. They will then completely extend the hips and shrug up while pulling through to receive the bar in the front squat position. Cleans from the power position, we will have them lower down into the above the knee position again. Want to continue focusing on the bar staying close to the thighs while pulling the chest up and pushing the hips through. Also, it's important again for the lifter to focus on remaining flat-footed. They will then use their arms to shrug and pull themselves under the bar as fast as possible. They want to receive it with the elbows high and the torso tight, and as they stand up and ascend, pushing their hips forward out of the bottom. Perform the clean from the below the knee position. Again, have them set their back tight and flat. Lower the bar down to the below the knee position. They should have the knees bent slightly more with the hips down a little lower than from the above the knee position. They will push their heels down through the floor and make sure that the knees come out of. When they extend vertically again, they will shrug their shoulders, extend their hips, and pull through to the bar with their arms to receive it in the bottom front squat position. Just like in the snatch, it is essential from the floor. One of the most common technique errors I see, especially with high school lifters, is their inability to lift the bar from the floor correctly. So again, we want to make sure that the lifter sets their back flat with the hips higher than the knees and the shoulders higher than the hips. The bar should be in to the floor. Pull the chest up, drive the knees back, and sweep the bar in so it stays along the legs. This will allow them to have the proper position as they finish the lift at the top of the pole. Once the lifter has learned how to properly lift the bar off the floor in the clean, we will have them continue that position by pushing their hips through and extending vertically at the top, and they will perform what is called a clean pull. Again, they maintain the same close bar position with the floor, but as the hips come through, they continue the momentum and fully extend and shrug at the very top and be vertical at top of the pole. Continuing from the clean pull, the lifter will now perform power cleans from the floor. Important to maintain, the bar must stay close to the body. The lifter must push the heels through the floor and drive the knees back off the floor, while then pushing the hips through and shrugging vertically at the top of the pull. They will then use their arms to pull through and receive the bar on the shoulders, with the bar resting in the fingertips and the knees slightly unlocked or bent. Next, we'll have the lifter perform the power clean plus clean. Here, they will have the same pull on every one of the repetitions, but they will be a power clean where the bar is received high on the shoulders without squatting under. The second rep, then, they will perform a clean where they again stand all the way tall and finish the pull, but use their arms to pull through to the bar. You can then have them repeat back and forth, perform multiple repetitions. The key, regardless of where they receive the bar, either in the power or full squat position. Once the lifter has learned how to properly perform the power clean plus clean from the floor, the final progression is, again, it's important for them to maintain a strong flat back off the floor with the bar remaining close to the body at all times. They want to push their hips through violently for a full extension at the top of every pull, and shrug and pull under to receive the bar in the bottom front squat position. Learning how to press correctly is one of the first exercises a lifter must do to properly perform the jerk. They want to have the bar resting completely on the shoulder. They want to actually grab the bar with a closed hand grip, not relax it in the fingertips. From there, the elbow should be pointing down, and they press the bar in a straight line, reaching the head through and the lats through at the very top. Notice the lifter returns the bar to the same position between every rep instead of simply bouncing it off upwards to the bar in a straight line. The push press is another important skill transfer exercise for the jerk. Every one of the exercises we perform in the jerk, whether they are for the jerk or a pressing movement, will always have the hands grabbing the bar, shrugging the shoulders. Notice the lifter dips by only slightly unlocking the knees and pushing the butt and the weight distribution back towards the heels while maintaining an upright torso. In the push press, they will dip down slow and tight while then having a quick change of direction and finishing by fully extending the hips and continue. It is very important for the lifter to push up on the bar as they dip so they can completely and continually transfer force overhead by squeezing the lats up. The power jerk is a very important skill transfer exercise as well because it teaches the lifter to force as violently as possible up through the barbell. A common technique error that lifters make while performing the jerk is trying to cut their drive short and dip down or split down as low as they can under the bar. The power jerk forces them to drive up in a straight line. Notice the lifter stays tight with a short bar as high as he possibly can. It's always more important to finish the drive. In the I jerk, the lifter will stand up on the balls of their feet and push upwards through the bar, again squeezing the lats. The feet will split forward and backwards in the feet. It is important for the lifter to focus more on pushing up and not leaning forward and diving under the bar. Also, every time they recover, they want to start by recovering front foot first, then back foot. In the pause jerk, we are going to have the lifter and weight on the heels again. We're going to have them take a complete pause for a split second. What this does is it forces them to stay tight and completely finish their drive. This is a great assistance exercise because, again, one of the most common errors is for a lifter to rush and dive under the bar. In the pause, up through the bar vertically. In the power jerk plus jerk, the lifter will transition and alternate each repetition by doing a power jerk and then back and forth by completing a jerk. We want their dip and drive to continue to be consistent regardless if they are driving straight up for the power jerk or splitting under the bar for the regular jerk. If they can learn to finish their drive in the split jerk the same way they do in the power jerk, they'll have a much higher weight they can lift overhead. The a lifter has completed all of the previous assistance exercises, they just bring that all together into completion to perform the jerk. Again, it is important for them to drive as forcefully as they can upright while pushing up through the bar the entire time to receive the bar in a tight, upright split position. Although we already taught the lifter how to do the front squat while performing the clean, we are again revisiting it because it is a great assistance exercise for the jerk. Besides giving great leg strength, it helps the lifter get used to feeling heavy weight on the jerk dip. Another great assistance exercise for the jerk, which greatly helps the lifter transition to the clean and jerk, is the front squat plus jerk. Again, the front squat is a fantastic leg and core strengthening exercise for any weightlifter, but every time between repetitions causes the lifter again to become more comfortable with transitioning from the front squat part of the clean and resetting to finish the drive aggressively on the jerk. During the pull of either the clean or the snatch causes a problem for the lifter because of a number of reasons. One, it prevents them from fully extending their hips and getting as much height and power on the barbell as possible. Two, it makes it very difficult to receive again, either in the snatch or the clean. The lifter will often feel off balance and they will tend to miss the lift in front because they're a great way to make the correction if a lifter is jumping back behind the barbell in either the snatch or the clean is to do block work. Doing lifts from the block height either at the above forces the lifter to stay over the barbell and get a completely vertical extension at the top of the pull. By doing this, they will most often receive the barbell in the proper bottom position. You can do powers and fulls in the lifts to help them learn how to finish and pull. If your lifter is having trouble keeping their back set from the floor and their back is rounding off the floor, or you notice the hips rising, because it will throw off all the other positions for the rest of the lift in either the clean or the snatch, and this will often cause them to miss weights at limit attempts. The best correction for a lifter who rounds their back off of the floor is to in the clean lift off or in the snatch lift off. The lifter will first use the weight of the bar to pull themselves down into position. Again, they want to make sure and have their hips higher than their knees and their shoulders higher than the hips. Here they want to emphasize on pushing their heels down flat through the floor while pulling the body and continuing to raise the chest up. If they can learn how to lift off correctly, they can then worry about the rest of the lift. If your lifter is having difficulty while having their elbows touch their knees during the full clean, this can cause a couple of different issues. Touching knees, that is illegal and would be ruled a no lift in any weightlifting competition. Furthermore, that usually means they're out of position. It can also lead to a high increase of injury if their elbow were to get stuck on their knee and they miss the barbell by spraining their wrist or pulling something. A lifter does not touch their elbows to the knees is reinforce proper front squatting technique. Make sure that they have good core strength, that they can sit to their heels all the way down to the bottom with their elbows high and their chest tighten up. Once they have demonstrated they can do proper front squats, we then want to teach them the proper timing of how to extend their hips while pulling through to the barbell with the elbows completely raised high and clearing the knees while sitting upright all the way down onto the heels. Learning this timing of properly pulling through to the bar and receiving it will help keep them from getting soft and If your lifter is having difficulty with rolling the bar up their chest during the clean or the power clean, this is an issue because it is a technical rules violation and will cause the lift to be ruled in them from being able to lift maximal weights because it prevents them from pulling through under the bar and receiving it in the front squat. common cause for a lifter rolling the bar up is because of chest tightness or inflexibility issues in the upper body. So again, we want to make sure that they have the elbows high, having the bar completely in contact with the shoulders, and showing that they can sit all the way down to their heels. Also, again, they are often using their arms to pull the bar up their body as opposed to pulling their body under the bar. So if you have them practice waist cleans, this can teach them the timing and position of pulling the body through to the bar so on the chest. This will allow them to get a ideal, efficient receiving position for the clean. If the lifter is allowing the bar to slide down their chest when jerking, a couple of common problems will prevent them from being able to apply maximum force up on the bar and will prevent how much weight they can lift. Also, it can tend to pull the lifter forward and wind up having them leave their jerks out in front with heavy maximal lifts. Often, if a lifter is allowing the bar to slide down racked position, again, two great assistance exercises to reinforce the proper rack position would be the press and the push press. They both have the same starting position. First, by teaching the lifter how to press again, it teaches them how to push up on the bar while shrugging the shoulders and allowing them to have the body stays tight as they apply force. Then again, as they become solid and consistent in their pressing ability, we can also reinforce by having the lifter do push presses. Again, it's the same rack position where they have the closed hand grip, pushing up through the bar and shrugging the shoulders tight with a short dip, and learns how to again keep pushing up on the bar while dipping and then driving up through the bar again to get that maximal force on the barbell. If your lifter is dipping too low during the jerk, that can makes a further distance for the bar to travel and makes it difficult to apply maximal force. 2, it will often cause the lifter to lean forward and leave the barbell out in front at the top of the split. A great correction if a lifter is dipping too low is to have them practice pause jerks. That causes the lifter to dip exactly to the position we want them to dip to, so you can have them focus on having a short, tight dip. Make sure they're always pushing up on the barbell with their arms while shrugging the shoulders. And again, that pause prevents them from rushing, and they can really focus on that full extension. This will teach them the proper position for dipping. One of the most frequent issues we see with lifters, especially high school lifters, are press outs. That prevents them from being able to lock the bar in one motion and the elbows bend and or rebend during the execution of the lift. This will always result in a no lifting competition and also places additional stress on the shoulder. If a lifter is having trouble with pressing the bar out in the jerk, it is most often because they do not